Hopefully this is working fine. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am absolutely fucking privileged to have Mr. Paul Mort doing his interview with you this morning. I think he might have been drinking. He's amped up.
I've been sparring. It's the same feeling. You're slightly dizzy and puking up.
I've been following this guy for a long time, and it's really refreshing to see the situation Paul is in today. It's fucking awesome. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to let Paul introduce himself. Go for it, man.
Wow, dude, if I'm talking about my backstory, we could be here all day. I hope people have got the afternoon off. So, to cut a long story short for you guys, in fact, here's a little tip for you. Whenever somebody says to cut a long story short, you know they're going to talk too much. So, there's tip one of the day. So, here's what I'm going to do. I was a fat engineer. I left school with 2 GCSEs, couldn't get into college, couldn't get into university. I was a fat engineer, I hated it. I lost some weight. I became a personal trainer. I did one-to-one training to start with, and then I got sacked from the gym I worked at. So I was the worst employee in the world. And then I did mobile personal training. So I basically went to people's house with you'll remember this, right? Remember the Total Gym XLI with Chuck Norris that I used to advertise? Yeah. I had one of those, and I used to lift it out of my car every session. Anyway, doing that, I then had a car accident and wrote my car off. And I quickly realised when I'd been paid for 10 sessions up front and I couldn't deliver any for 3 months that I didn't have a business. I had a job that was paid by the hour, but only when I turned up for that hour. So it was interesting. Now, that led me to discover this kind of boot camp model, which is huge now. This group training is huge now. Back in the day, I had a training session with a boxing coach on Wednesday, and he said, "You were the pioneer of these boot camp things." I wouldn't say I was a pioneer, but I was one of the first to start these outdoor boot camps with a bunch of people who paid monthly. I built that business up into a franchise. While I was doing that, I ended up working for Fit Pro, touring the UK, teaching other trainers how to do the same. I mentored people. And then I moved to Marbella. I lived in Marbella for 2 years. And while I was there, I sold the franchise and started up a supplement company. My supplement company was called Lean Greens. And I sold that in January 2016. So I've done quite a lot of shit. I've spoken at Body Power. I've spoken in the States a few times. At the same time as I sold that Lean Greens business, I was also diagnosed bipolar, which means that it was 2015 I sold Lean Greens. December 2014, I stood on the edge of the cliff ready to jump. I got put in a mental hospital for 3 days. I've been through all sorts. And that's the fast route of my journey in the fitness industry. I mean, I've mentored a bunch of the top performing guys in the fitness industry now. I still have a business called Marketing Muscle Inner Circle where I teach some marketing, but my main focus now is this business here, which is Unstoppable Bastards, which is a program for men, all men, businessmen normally, who have got their business together, but the rest of their life shit, because that's what happened to me. I mean, since that cliff incident, I've lost 4 stone. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. I've had 3 fights, boxing matches. I only started boxing 2 years ago. I have completed a 2-day SAS selection. I have turned this business, Unstoppable Bastards, from 0 men into over 100 men. What else? I've done a bunch of other shit. I've jumped out of a plane. I'm off all antidepressants. I don't take anxiety pills anymore. Yeah, I've done a bunch of crazy shit. So, yeah, I hope that was enough, Wayne. I get uncomfortable with that. Considering how arrogant I am, I still get uncomfortable talking about the stuff that I've done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird.
I think that comes along with a little bit of like when you start getting a bit of success and stuff, Paul, don't it? You kind of like, back in the day, you kind of almost have to justify when you become a personal trainer. You have to justify to everybody why you're a personal trainer because people look at you go, "Have you got a proper job?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, you do. You're right.
Interesting. You just said about your journey and about the boxing and you're fighting a little bit more now.
Yeah.
If I remember right, you went off to Warrior in California, and
in 2014.
Something about you not doing the boxing because they do a lot of sparring there. Did you refuse to do that when you were there?
No. So here's what happened. The first time I went to Wake Up Warrior, there was some boxing, and I did it. But this is how claustrophobic I was, and this is how anxiety-ridden I was. I wouldn't wear a head guard, and I wouldn't wear a gum shield. I couldn't put either in. So I sparred, but then about fact, it was about a year, maybe 18 months later,
Yep.
I'd prepared for a spar, because they actually don't do that much boxing. Like, their boxing is like you do like 20 seconds of fighting and that's it, done. Not like 10 2-minute rounds like we do now. But anyway, I went back and they said there was going to be boxing, so I trained for it. And it turned out to be this fucking seal fit. Sorry, I just dropped the first F-bomb. It turned out to... I thought so, mate. You just say fucking hell. Fuck's sake. You just say it different to me, dude. So it's when I went there, it was some kind of seal fit type thing, and I was like, nah. I had to jump in an ice bath, and I was like, nah, this isn't for me. But anyway, that's ironic, because just then I wasn't ready for it. Because 6 months down the line, in fact, no, it wasn't. It was about 8 or 9 months down the line, I ended up doing the 2-day SAS selection training in England with the guys from SAS Who Dares Wins. So it was like, just at that moment in time, I wasn't ready for it, mate. I was still having all these anxiety shit going on. So yeah, it was a wake-up call for me that I was like, you know what? You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do, really. You don't have to do. No one can force you to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, okay, so I know you've gone through a massive long journey, mate, from starting off, early days of boot camps, and so look, I don't want to go into that too much, but in 2018, right now, do you still think boot camps as a business model is still the thing people should be really focusing on, or should it just be like basically whatever fits with your audience?
I think that for me, group training works. I only do, even in Unstoppable Bastards, it's all group. Yeah. All group. Why? Because here's what I think. I don't think it has to fit. I don't think it's about what fits your kind of ideal prospect. I think you have to choose what fits your life. People got to remember this. Your business exists to fund your lifestyle, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Your business exists. That's the only point in it. That's the only point in it. Sure, we want to help people, we want to change people's lives. That's what we do. Even that's what I do. But if it doesn't fit my life, then I'm saving everybody else's life and I'm improving everybody else's life, but not my own. And you got to lead from the front.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, here's a typical story. You see it more and more. A personal trainer who's in shape becomes successful, especially in a bricks and mortar type business, which I know you guys are. And suddenly we don't have time to train anymore. We put ourselves last. You put all of your clients first, and then you're left with the dregs, which is why we end up often with businesses that we hate, out of shape and exhausted, because everybody else gets to eat before us.
Yeah. So, because I'm completely opposite. 90% of my business is PT, but I have a lot of PTs working for me. So right now, while I'm talking to you, I've got all my PTs making me money. So that's different, but I think
that model's still there, 100%. It's just a different scalability, and where I'm at right now. I am better at training groups or working with groups than I am one-to-one. But also, I am also better as a one-man band than I am at managing people. That's my big thing this year to hit 7 figures. I have to improve not at marketing, not at getting better in coaching, but at getting better at managing people, because I'm not that used to staff. I mean, I've had staff, I've had subcontractors, I've had franchisees, but managing people on it who are employed by me is that's what I've got to get better at. So you're better at that than I am, but I'm probably better at groups than you are. Know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you are honest enough to say that that's something that because people think like when you're like Paul Mort, that you fucking know it all and you've done it all and you've got it all, and you're kind of like, well, no, because if that was the case, then you'd be living on a fucking island by now, mate, wouldn't you? So you wouldn't want it.
Here's an interesting conversation that I had, actually. This has got nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it kind of has. My wife's really smart, right? And she's seen it all. I've been with her for 20 years. We've been through it. She's been through the whole thing. She stopped me from jumping, etc., etc. And we're having this conversation about making 7 figures with Unstoppable Bastards. I've made 7 figures before, but not with Unstoppable Bastards. Now, she said to me the other day, well, what this program is on in the background called Millionaires Ex-Wives Club.
Yeah.
And she said, Paul, what would be different if you're a millionaire now? I said, and this just came from the top of my head. I said, well, I would have a Ferrari. and I would have like a proper sauna. I have an infrared sauna now, the little thing that you sit in, but you got the big one, you know, the ones that you would have in a gym or a swim. I was like, and I have one of them in the house. She said, and this is really interesting, I didn't ask what you would have. I asked what would be different, and I was like, oh shit, that is profound. She said, because I'm going to tell you something right now. If you wanted a Ferrari next month, you could have one. I could have one. I could afford one. And she said, and if you wanted a sauna, I'll order you one now. She says, that's not what I'm asking. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, because I know you guys want to talk about balance. I saw a couple of questions about balance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to try and hit this 7 figures because I've done this before. I am not prepared to sacrifice my lifestyle to make more money. I've done that, and it led me to that cliff. I'm not prepared to do that, but I am prepared to sacrifice my comfort level, because that's what I'm going to have to do with these staff and these systems and this automation to make more money without, because you don't have to sacrifice more time. You don't have to. That's just the theory. You have to sacrifice your comfort level. That's it. You have to sacrifice your ego. I have to sacrifice my ego because this can't be the Paul Mort show forever if I want to hit 7 figures. It can't be. It just so happens that that's what I like it to be.
Again, mate, I think it's just refreshing because this is, I mean, as you describe people as mush cookies, which I think is a fantastic phrase, right? There's worse things you could call people, mate. But I think it's so refreshing to hear from someone like yourself who's got a good status in this industry that's actually saying things, not saying everything else that, you know, live on a fucking beach, work 4 hours, you know, I swear to God, if I hear one more person saying, let me get you the 6 figures, I swear I'm going to get in my car, drive and punch somebody in the face, because what it does is all them people that are starting out right now, they start buying into this bullshit, and they start getting stressed, and they start having less time with their family, and they think that this is the only way. Before you know it, they get what they. My wife's always said to me, "Be careful what you wish for," because
dude, and the grass isn't always greener.
A smart wife. So,
the grass isn't always greener. And you know what, dude? I actually had this conversation with one of my old personal training clients from a long time ago. I haven't seen her for like 5 years, dude. And she saw something that I posted on Instagram about my kids, right? And we just ended up bantering backwards and forwards. She just, Paul, I remember when you did your boot camps. I was like, you know what? Back in that days, and I haven't done a boot camp for probably 8 years now. I moved to, my son's 7, and I stopped doing them basically where my son was born. I moved to Spain probably 6 years ago now. I moved to Marbella. And when I moved there, I had 100 clients paying me £100 a month. That's 10 grand. And I had no overheads because I was training people in a fucking park and on the beach.
Huh? And
that was zero stress. I also wasn't paying any tax because it was all cash. Yeah, but that's a story. That's a story for a different day. But yeah, it's like you don't have to take on that level of stress. And the funny thing is, dude, you got to look at these people who are selling this 100 grand. You got to look at the actual lifestyle. I'm like, they're posting the beach pictures, but they're also not posting the spending. That their life is literally that's. I'm talking into a screen right now. Their life is literally that. Most of them don't have kids. It's like living on a different planet when you have kids. It is like literally a different race. You join a different race. It's unbelievable. You join a different species when you become a dad.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But also, these people don't have kids, and most of them can't even hold down a fucking relationship. And they're in a rented house. They don't own shit because their business doesn't stack up to get a mortgage. The truth. Yeah. And they're working on their laptop on the beach. And I'm like, have you ever tried working on a laptop outside? Almost impossible. Because the glare. Have you ever tried working on a laptop with a glare? Yeah. It's horrendous. You can't.
No.
But anyway, they're just doing their best. Those guys, I used to hammer them. I used to batter them. But I'm like, you know what? These guys are just doing their best with what they have. That's it. And if people are naive enough to buy into it, they're just trying their best too. It's their problem, not mine. I'm not going to try and save the world.
I'll totally agree. And I think, but my only issue with it, I guess, is that people like yourself and people like myself who are doing a good fucking job and working hard at what we do, and then these people come along and make it look so fucking easy.
Yeah.
And then people are like, I've had people say to me before, like, you know, if you're so fucking successful, why are you doing 14-hour days? I'm like, no, you got it wrong. I choose to do a 14-hour day because I love doing what I do. I don't have to do a 14-hour day.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, it's a balance. If you like, I know you obviously know Gary Vee, and people slate him and like, oh, he's a 60. But that you have to look at his personality. That's his personality. Not everybody can do 16-hour days and not see their wife or kids because it will fuck their heads. But for him,
I'm not into that at all.
No,
I'm not into that.
No,
I'm totally not into that at all. Listen, you can keep your fucking money.
Yeah.
You honestly, this is one of the conversations we'll have. You can keep your money because my kids don't give a shit. My kids do not give a shit at all.
They don't know the difference between 100 million, a million, or 100,000, do they?
Also, dude, we've got to consider. People forget this. Gary Vaynerchuk was handed a $20 million business. He hasn't built that shit from scratch. He's not doing what we're doing, dude. When we're starting with literally we're starting with we'll pretty much start with nothing, us guys. A certificate from Premier International, me. On a big mouth. I was blessed with a very big mouth, so.
I think that's that. What I'm trying to get at is like you hit on the nerve earlier. It's like you've got to be comfortable with what you do. And
of course you have.
You know what I mean? And that's what it's got to be about. You don't need to worry about if you are home every night and because you want to be there with your kids, took your kids at night, and somebody's going, but you could be making more money, then that's their issue. Do you know what I mean?
Dude, 100%.
And that's why I don't like the sale on 6 figures is the thing. I mean, fuck 6 figures. I want more than 6 figures. I'm fucking smashing.
You know what's interesting about? Here's the interesting thing about 6 figures. I'm like, what are you going to do with that money? Like, what are you going to do with it? Do you even need 6 figures to live the life that you want to live?
And again, I'm so glad you said that because again,
you know what I mean? Like, do you even need 6 figures? Do you even need it? Because here's what you get when you start to be successful. You notice, oh shit, hang on, wait.
Brilliant. Paul's just fucked the stream. I think it's just disconnected us. Let's give him a minute. If not, guys, what I'll do is I will get him back somehow, and we'll go from there. Is he back in the room?
Mate.
Yeah.
I got a notification, mate. I left my notifications on and they just keep coming on, and I pressed one and suddenly I'm all over the place. But anyhow, what I was saying was you'll notice that when you start to become successful, right?
Yeah.
And you start hitting decent numbers, 10 grand a month, and we're talking if there's not that much lifestyle difference between 10 grand a month and 20 grand a month.
Yeah.
There's not that much difference in lifestyle. No. I think what have you got? How much money do you actually need to live a super cool life? You'll find it's not that much. You maybe get to go to nicer places on holiday. You maybe get to have nicer stuff. Usually what happens, Wayne, and you'll know this, being as wily as me, when you make more money, you just spend more. That's it. We have guys coming into Unstoppable Bastards and they're like, they'll tell me they're doing like 20 grand a month. They're making big money and they come in and they're like, I can't afford it. And I used to think, well, how come you're earning this? You're doing like $1 million a year, dude. And he's like, well, I'm like, well, actually, he's spending like 19 grand a month. Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. Yeah, you tend to find that as you earn more, you just spend more. So that's maybe the thing that people want to look at as well.
And it's funny. And again, I always say to people, like, if you're making that money, you've got to make that money work for you. Otherwise,
dude, 100%. That's where I'm at this year.
Same as me, mate. And it's not. Otherwise, I've just got to. Once you hit that level, it's like, well, when you start doing 10, 20, 30 grand a month, the fucking pressure to stay at that is just.
Yeah.
Because now I've got staff, I've got fucking overheads. I've got to do 6 figures just to stay fucking open.
Yeah. So,
the pressures, and again, so what I want to do is I want to break down a few of them, like especially a lot of guys in the group.
You know what happens? I'm so glad you mentioned that because I know what happens. I think you start to develop an emotional attachment to money.
Yeah.
And when you start developing that you start developing that emotional attachment to money. And I'm not the guy that's going to say money's not all this, money's not all that, because I love money. I love spending money. I love having money. I love spending money. I love being able to go what I want. I love being able to live where I live, and drive the car, etc., etc. But you develop that emotional attachment, and everything just seems like a grind and a struggle because you've got such an emotional attachment, and it starts to come across in your marketing and your work, and you start dragging that baggage home. So it's a very interesting thing, money.
Yeah, it is. The reason why most of us all get up in the morning. So, Dave, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the questions that the guys asked, and then hit them with their answers. If I can actually get through my phone and find it. Right, here we go. Where is it? Come on. Right, cool. Okay, so first question we got to, mate. I know you saw it. It was from Dave Christian, and it's been impressed by your change, and you're focusing more on your family. So you'd love to know more about that balance, and also building a successful local brand while still being a family man.
Beautiful. Okay, so thank you for that, Dave. I have made a big transformation. And there's a few things that happened because of that. Well, one of them was the cliff incident. People are like, oh, that's really bad that you've done this. And I'm like, no, that was actually one of the greatest things that could have ever happened to me, was that cliff incident, because it changed everything. After a breakdown comes a breakthrough, and that was a giant breakthrough for me. I was earning more money than I ever earned at that point. I was actually bored. No shit. I'd be sat in this office. It was nothing like this right now. This is like a cinema room now for when guys come in for an immersion. We'll have 6 guys coming every so often for a breakthrough experience. But I used to literally be in this office, and I'd be so bored that I'd be working, I'd be snorting coke off the desk. No shit. That's how bad things were for me. But that was, again, a wake-up call for me, because I pretty much missed the first 2 years of my son's life. And it wasn't because I was working too hard. It was because I wasn't present with them. So there's 2 things I'm going to recommend here, right? Balance is a choice. You first got to make the decision that that's what you want to do. No shit. Because no one's forcing you to work the hours you're working. Your clients are not you're choosing to put sessions on at that time. And again, yes, we want money, we want to get paid, but you first got to make the decision. You first got to make the decision. No one is pinning you to the wall and saying you must work until 9 p.m. every night to make it in this industry. That is a choice. Period. Okay? Now, the first tip I'm going to give you to get more balance is this. Spend less time on your phone. Because balance isn't about how much time you spend with your family. It's about what you are like, or the state you're in when you're with them. If you are like this constantly, you're not even there anyway. I spent a lot of time with my family there, but I wasn't even there. I was here. And when I wasn't here, I was thinking about what was here. So my first tip, turn your phone off, man. Turn your phone off. Imagine what, and I see this in a park all the time. Me and my kids spend a lot of time in the park. We live by the beach, and we've got a beautiful park here in South Shields. And the amount of times I just see parents while their kids are running wild, just looking at their phone. And there was one, I wrote an email about it recently actually, which was a guy that was basically, his kid was demanding attention. In other words, telling him exactly what he needed. Your kids will be your greatest teacher. Tell him exactly what he needed. And he was just like this. And he was like, just go and play, man. And I'm like, imagine how your kid feels when his hero or her hero is ignoring them for a screen. It's bullshit. Yeah. Total bullshit. The second piece, so start with the phone. The second piece is this. Again, it's not about the amount of time. It's not about the amount of time at all. The second piece of this is, how come we schedule in client appointments in our schedule, but we don't schedule in time with the family or our kids or our wives? I'm talking about wives, by the way, because I coach men. I'm used to talking in that kind of frame.
Yeah.
So, and I've never had a husband. I'm not ruling it out, but I've never had a husband. Actually, I'm scared. I'm scared to try it in case I like it. But anyhow, that's so homophobic. Sorry, dude. But what I'm saying is this. We have clients in our schedule. We have sessions in our schedule. But then our wives and kids are just left with what's left over. I'm like, really? You can tell a lot about a man's priorities by 2 things. A, how he spends his time. Not by what he says, by how he spends his time. But B, by looking at his schedule.
Yeah.
If that time with the family and kids is, and sure, you're like, oh, well, I get home every night, I'm with the family. I'm like, well, are you really with them? Or are you on your phone answering questions in your Facebook group? No. And you'll find that, you know what, the phone thing sounds scary at first, because you're like, where people need me to answer the questions. I need to be there for people and supporting people. I'm like, listen, they will not die if they have to wait until these hours to answer your questions, for you to answer that question. They will not die. They will also not leave. And guess what? If they get pissy about it, are they a good fit to work with you? If they get pissy about you spending time with your family, I would rather you take your money to somewhere else if you're going to be like that. No shit. So those are the biggest two things. The biggest two things are phone. It's not about the amount of time. It's about the time that you're actually there, actually present. 2, schedule. You've got to schedule that shit in. If it's not in your schedule, you are uncommitted to it. You are uncommitted if it's not in your schedule. Because here's what we say a lot of the time. This is why I know I'm going to try and fit it in. I just fit it in. So if people said that with your workouts to you, I'm going to fit a workout in. I'm like, no. When I was a trainer, I used to say, listen, if it's in your schedule, you'll do it. If it's not in your schedule, you're fitting it in. If you're fitting it in, that is a telltale sign that you are uncommitted.
Yeah.
Uncommitted if you can't schedule it in. So that's the second one. The third one is, listen, you really only have to get better at a couple of things. If you want to work the same amount of money, if you want to earn the same amount of money and work less hours, charge more. There's one tip. 2, do what Wayne does and get better at automation and systems. That's it. That's one of the biggest things to get more balance. Automation and systems.
Yep.
That's it. That's one of the reasons why people are like, Paul, what are you doing on Instagram? Are you going to be posting? I'm like, I don't particularly like Instagram, but here's the thing. For my webinar, I was getting 50 pence leads. I'm on Instagram because I can automate adverts. This is why I pay to play. I'm going to tell you guys a little secret. I've actually just finished a newsletter this morning. And towards the end of last year, I ran 3 webinars and I dropped 8 grand on ads. My return on investment was 507%. I made 49 grand on an 8 grand spend. Now that sounds good. It's good. It's pretty impressive. But there's 2 lessons here. A, you have to pay to play. When I said to my guys, and I was like, listen, what's the biggest lesson here? And some of them are like, well, if you want bigger money, you've got to play a bigger game. You play a bigger game. But secondly is, people are like, well, why don't you just, because it makes sense. Like, listen, well, why don't you spend 80 grand and make 490 back? I'm like, here's why. I haven't got the systems and automation on the back end, which is what we're talking about before. Remember with the management people? I could not cope with that demand of clients. So right now, I'm pretty much losing money because my ability to manage people and manage staff, etc., isn't as high as yours, Wayne. Isn't that interesting? So most people, it's like, you want to make more money, you get better at marketing and selling. Well, I'd like to think that I was a master at both of those. Marketing, communication, selling, retention, etc. But this is not the case here. Sometimes to make more money and create more balance, you've actually got to get better at automation and systems. That's it. That's what you've done, right, Wayne? That's what you've had to do to get other trainers in. It's not as though you just bring in someone in and say, oh, dude, just do what you want.
It's a game.
It's not what you do. It is. That's not what you're doing, is it? You're not saying, listen, dude, I'm going to give you some money. You're going to come in and just do what you want. Just come in, clock out, do whatever you want. So there's me talk on balance.
And I think you hit a nail on the head as well about spending money to make money. People. We get all the time, like, I spent £20 on my Facebook ad and I didn't get any leads. And I'm like, well, what program was you selling? Well, I was selling program with £100 a month. So you spent 20 quid to try and get a lead at £100 a month. Does that even make any sense to you?
Yeah.
But they don't want 100. They want 30 people in. And then they don't have the infrastructure to deal with 30 people.
Yeah. And it's people always ask me, Paul, how do you choose your budget? How do you choose your budget for your webinar? Like how much you need to know to spend? How much you want to spend on a webinar? And I says, well, I'm prepared to lose the first sale. So I'll be like dropping my sales are it's about £1,000 for the program for 90 days. Yeah. It's £1,000, so I'm prepared to spend £1,000 on ads minimum. We did that this week. I spent £1,000 and made 12 back. I actually wanted more than that, but I didn't hit it. So it is what it is. It is. There's no point in getting pissed off about it. I can only learn me lessons. And actually, here's another lesson for you guys. It may not make sense. In December, I sold a 6-week program and I signed up 35 new guys. Now, so this time around, I was like, oh, it's January. I'm going to be aiming for like 20, 30, maybe even 40. And I only got I think we're on 17 maybe. 17 maybe today. I think I made 2 more sales this morning. And I'm like, I was pissed off. And then I looked at the logic and I'm like, this is another lesson for people. Sometimes we'll look at the wrong numbers. And I was so focused on how many clients I could get in that I looked at the actual numbers. The buy-in for these people coming in January was 3 times more. So I actually made twice as much money selling to like 15, 16, 17 maybe as I did selling to 35. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think this goes
But
back
I was just focused on the wrong numbers. So I was actually in a bit of a downer. Last week I was in a bit of a downer. I was like, shit, what have I messed up here? And then I also thought about, I was like, these guys that came in at 300 in December were a pain in the ass. The price point attracted the wrong people for me. They were a nightmare, dude. Honestly, one of the guys that works for me, Simon, he's my head coach, and he was like, Paul, these guys are needy. These guys are they're skeptical because they came in at that. They were just completely different gravy to these guys who came in 3 times more. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, looking at the wrong numbers.
It's something you've talked about over the years many, many times, Paul, about, like, I know you built up a boot camp, and even when you built your boot camp, you know, £100 a person.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we're talking like fucking long time ago, people were like, fucking £100 and running around in a park. I charge 20. And they've got like 1,000 fucking members, but they've got 1,000 fucking issues and problems.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got guys who turn up, do the work, don't bitch, get on with it, and get the results.
Dude, and the thing is, back then, the money was so much that because they were paying £100 a month, they would eat dog shit on toast if I told them to.
Yes. It's the same as my business is higher end PT. The guys pay a lot of money for the privilege of being a PT client of ours.
Yeah.
And I say to people all the time when they're doing their boot, and I speak to guys and they're charging like £15 for personal training, and I'm like, and then the client doesn't commit, and they let them down, and they cancel, and but all you're doing, you're just picking up people. You're just picking up people who haven't got any value in themselves. They got no fucking value in you. So why are you surprised they treat that?
And you know what? It's people want a return on investment.
Yes.
And the higher the investment, the bigger return they want. So the adherence goes through the roof. The adherence is through the roof because they want a return on investment. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And people, and this is an old thing. I only heard this a few weeks ago, actually. For some reason, I'd never heard it before, which was people that pay attention. People that don't pay attention. Think of all the free shit think of all the ebooks you've downloaded, guys. Think of all the free webinars you've been on. Think of all the videos. How much stuff have you done with them? Most of them ebooks, I don't even open them. Don't do anything with them, the PDFs. I don't bother. I haven't paid any money. I'd rather just go straight to the source. Listen, how much is it? Can I pay you for your time? That's how I make faster progress. Because it's not necessarily about the money. It's like, listen, let's get all this fluff out of the way. I'll just pay you for an hour. How about that? See, get to the source faster because I've invested.
I know you're a fan. I know you're a massive fan of actually going to the source. And you know, like this statistic where they're talking about like only 1% of people in the industry make money. Bollocks. There's one common ground with these 1%. They were prepared to go to the source, say to the guy, I want to get where you are. And he goes, well, it'll be X and I'll take you there. But I won't hold you by the fucking hand. You're going to have to do some work. But, you know what I mean? But the people that are still earning the same 1,000, 2,000 were still struggling, still trying to get clients in. And they'll call me and they'll say, oh, you know, can I work with you? And I tell them what I charge. And they go, oh, it's a bit too much money. And you think, you just sound like the fucking clients. You're trying to, you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, dude.
There's a reason why I'm where I am. The reason why you are, Paul, and why there's people like Kevin Walker and all these guys out there are doing really fucking well because they're prepared to do what most won't do to have the lifestyle most will never have.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And it's a funny old thing because actually not investing will cost you more.
Yeah,
it'll cost you more time. It'll cost you more frustration. It'll cost you more burnt bridges. It'll cost you more everything than if you just invested. Tony Robbins says it best. The fastest way to be successful is to model somebody that's already doing it.
Yeah. And
the fastest way to do that, and you think about this, is actually the most cost effective as well, is just go straight to the source.
Makes sense.
It's that simple.
And I think when people do actually commit and they do invest in somebody and it goes well for them, it's like that massive weight's lifted off your shoulders suddenly, and you feel like you've got that support behind you, and you've got somebody who understands where you're. Otherwise, I think you're fumbling around in the dark a lot of times. Whereas if you've got somebody who takes you where, you know, this is where I would go. based on what you've told me, this is what I would do. And you take the advice, they act on it.
Yeah.
It's the same as a client that comes to somebody and goes, I want a six-pack, and you give them the plan. If they follow it, they get the six-pack. If they don't fucking follow it, they don't.
It works if you work.
Not rocket science.
And the funny thing is that most of these people are just saving you from making the mistakes that they've made. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's actually a sales point. Listen, I've already made all these fuck ups, so you don't have to. I've already been on the edge of the cliff. I've already wasted the money on psychotherapists, all the psychoanalysis, all the ists. I've been at every ist going, right? I've already spent all the money on them. I've already been in this mental hospital. I've already been to this 9-day school in Germany with Byron Katie. I've already been a warrior. I've already done all this shit. You don't have to, because I've done it. You get to cheat and do it the easy way. That's actually in my webinar. I've done it the hard way. You get to cheat and do it the easy way. By just investing in yourself.
Well, like you do Warrior. I've asked you before about Warrior because it's something I'm really keen to do. Back when we were speaking about it, mate, I know $10,000 just to go there for the 5 days.
Yeah.
You might be more than that now, but you've then got to put in your flight. You've got to put in your time away from your business.
Yeah.
By the time you actually fucking get there and land on that beach,
you're
probably good 20K in.
Easy. And then don't forget that if you think 5 days is going to be it, it's not. No. You're going to want to buy into something to keep you accountable. You're going to want association with the guys who you've been through it with and other guys that have been through it. You're going to want the accountability from the people who you've been through it with. 5 days isn't enough. It's like someone coming in personal. It's like people that sell retreats. Why would you let someone leave after 5 days? Do you think that's it? No, that's just a start. It's like, here's the example. It's like when someone personal trains with you for an hour. That is fucking really irrelevant because I've got another 23 hours where they can fuck that whole thing up. That's why I say to a lot of guys who are in MMIC, I'm like, listen, you got to stop making it about the sessions. You're not selling sessions. How many times do they text you a week? How much time do you spend looking at the nutrition program, writing their programs? That is billable hours, not just the hour where you fucking train them and I don't want to sound really bad, but count their reps and check their technique. That's not what it's about. You're a coach. Not a fucking rep counter. It's not about the session at all. In fact, I'm starting to tell guys now, I'm like, listen, you don't even really need to mention the sessions. That's like a bonus. The sessions are a bonus. Because coaching doesn't happen in that 1 hour.
And that's how I close my sales. The actual one-to-one with us is the fucking bonus. It's everything else. Yeah, that's
just where we get to hang out and have a laugh for an hour.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll make you sick.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. There's a few people obviously relating to the fact of like that work-life family balance kind of thing, mate. And then Ben Freeman, because I know where Ben's situation is at the moment, he's about to secure his first facility. So he said, "What would you? I know we're going right back, mate, but what would you recommend the first thing you would do if you were about to open your facility?"
So this is a question that can go across the board because you pretty much kind of open a new business. And I've stepped into I'm stepping into a different niche all the time. I was one-to-one, then I was boot camp, then I mentored personal trainers, then I went with a supplement company, all almost new niches. Yeah. And I would do the same thing, almost the same thing that I've done every single time, is that I would do something that would establish trust and authority as fast as possible. In that, I would probably run a seminar, a free one or a cheap one. Why? Get people in the facility for a start. B, it's a low barrier to entry. C, depending on who you're targeting, a lot of these people may be intimidated. So it's a non-intimidating environment for new people because they're just coming to a seminar. 4, it builds trust and authority like quicker than anything I know. Maybe a book would go alongside it. It builds authority very quickly because you're on the stage. As soon as you're there, you're an expert. Instant expert status. 5, it enables people who you're already training to bring people along for a referral that doesn't involve working out, sweating, and possibly puking up in front of a group of people that they don't know. So that'll be the first thing that I do. I do this with webinars. And I've done it with seminars. December, I ran a seminar called Unstoppable Underground. And this was an opportunity for guys who had only worked with online before to come and meet me, to come and hang out. It was also an opportunity for guys that weren't ready to commit to the grand program. And check this out, right? 59 guys came to the event. 58 of them bought the offer that was £1,000 up front in December. 58 of the 59. Now, obviously, I'm good at selling. Obviously, there was some level of trust, but it's like the live event, me being on stage. And it wasn't just me on stage. Obviously, I had people there who I'd worked with who also did presentations. So you could just do a 2-hour seminar one night, have your current clients that have got results speaking. You could do a little bit, but just that generates trust so quickly, and authority. And authority is what enables you to charge more than everybody else. And it obviously develops trust very fast. People won't pay you until they trust you. And that'll develop it faster.
You know what? And I love that. And I think that's exactly, I mean, I love doing seminars and workshops because it gives people that option to come and listen to you, hear from you about what you said, going to get sweaty. They can ask the questions they want to ask. You also can stand there like Billy Big Bollocks, like you know it all. And I mean, they just really.
Good, and you got to consider. I don't know. I'm holding the can of Monster here as though it's a camera, right? Pretend I'm like a pirate with a telescope here. Hold on while I just extend my telescope. So you can also film the whole thing, and imagine how good that would look on your social media.
Yeah.
Listen, here's me speaking. Look how good I am. It doesn't matter how many people come. You're not trying to make money on the seminar. You're trying to make money on the back end, which is where you sell.
Absolutely.
And the amount of expertise it develops is unbelievable. You can invite journalists along. Come and check this out. You can invite local restaurant owners along. You can invite a bunch of different people along who otherwise wouldn't come and train with you because they're intimidated. Again, it depends completely on your avatar. But you got to consider a lot of us are trying. I'm going to cut to the chase here. A lot of us are trying to help fat people, and fat people often are terrified. They've never done anything for years. They feel intimidated. They've got no confidence. So asking them to come and train off the bat is hard. Most of them are not ready. They're not ready mentally and they're not ready physically. So inviting them to a seminar is a perfect opportunity to explain what you do, to break down any barriers, to overcome any obstacles that they've got in their own head about why your program won't work for them, about how they've tried everything. It's a perfect opportunity to do it.
And you also have to a lot of people with weight issues as well, mate. I've had that for a long time. They've tried everything. They've also probably had some really negative experiences with coaches or gyms.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the last thing they want to do is sign up to your program because you said that you're fucking awesome. But if you can actually, proof's in the pudding all the time, is mate. It's proof's in the pudding.
Here's the thing, and I used to be guilty of this as well. Your perfect client goes to Weight Watchers, right? They go to Weight Watchers because it's a group and it's not that intimidating.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you think is more effective? Putting on a seminar for them or talking shit about Weight Watchers, which is basically pissing on their cornflakes? I used to talk shit about Weight Watchers all the time. I'm like, what do you think is more effective? We say we do it to help people. What's more effective? Putting on a seminar for them or pissing on their cornflakes? Yeah. As soon as you attack something that people like, regardless whether you think it works or not, as soon as we attack something that people like, they automatically go on the defensive. And when they're on the defensive, I can't help them. When they're on the defensive, they're definitely not going to give me money.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it.
Wherever you do, don't ever mention Juice Plus in a PT group.
Ah, dude, I used to do this. I've burnt relationships to the ground because I slated Juice Plus.
I've always kind of had the same opinion, like, I really haven't got time for it. I'm too busy doing me. What I need to do to be worried about what everybody else.
Here's the thing, dude. Talking shit like that, talking smack is the sign of an insecure man.
Yeah.
Period.
Just get on, do your shit. And do it really well.
And dude, there's 2 ways to build the largest building in town. Tear down somebody else's or build your own.
Absolutely.
And the bigger you build it, the more shit you'll get as well. I've experienced that. I've had death threats and everything, man. It is what it is.
Yeah, daily there's something going around. We're closing, business is closing, we've lost our concerns with fucking whatever. Anyway, mate, another question, which I think is a great question to kind of close on as well, Paul, because I'm well aware, mate, that it's your Friday and you got...
I'm going to the cinema, actually. I'm going to the cinema this afternoon because I didn't get there on Wednesday.
So, okay, if the internet was taken away tomorrow, what would be your top 5 go-to forms for lead generation?
Flyers. No doubt. Flyers are very, very underrated, right? You don't get much through the door anymore. Yeah, they do. They do them wrong. They try and make the sale with an A4 piece of paper. You're not going to get money off someone. The only people that get money from A5 flyers, or whatever size it is, are takeaways. What we use a flyer like is it's like a Facebook ad. You get their attention, you take them somewhere else, You get them as a lead, and then you follow up.
Yeah.
You give away. Yeah, we're doing a 1 week free trial. You can come and download this free cheat sheet. Come and download how she did it. And you got to consider it may be even more effective eventually than Facebook ads because you can put whatever the fuck you want on a flyer. Facebook are literally the boss of their platform, but flyers totally do them wrong. I would go local newspaper. I used to write for the local newspaper. I would go with them. I would spend money on it, but I would do what's called an advertisement, which is not just basically a business card in a newspaper. That's what most people have. I'd have an advertisement which would look like an article, and it would have before and after photos in it and shit. The next thing I would do would be to hold seminars. 1000%. I would advertise those in restaurants. I would advertise those in doctor's surgeries. I would advertise those in the newspaper. I would spend money on flyers. What else would I do? I would do charity workouts. I'll do a Saturday morning charity boot camp, get people along for that. And I would also possibly, this is a crazy one, right? I don't even think this happens anymore. This is the one thing I used to do when I used to get loads of clients, is I would teach classes in the local gyms. As in, I would go into a lifestyle, fitness, or whatever the fuck it is now, and I would teach like a boxercise class. I would teach a circuit training class. Why? Because that gets you in front of people, a lot of people who are looking to get fit. You win them over your personality. You don't even have to sell them there. You win them over your personality. Paul, where else do you teach classes? Oh, I've got this shit going on here. I used to teach spinning. I taught spinning. I taught Pilates. I taught fucking aqua aerobics. No shit. I taught boxercise. I taught all of those things. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant, mate. I think you're an absolute fucking legend for doing.
Oh, dude, I appreciate that so much.
Mate. I appreciate my group appreciates it, and the guys will get to see it. Thank you so much, mate. What are you going to see, by the way? What are you going to see?
I'm going to see something about billboards.
A client of mine was saying yesterday it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I heard that as well. Guys, listen, I'm going to give you one more tip today. If you haven't already seen it, go and see The Greatest Showman. It's unbelievable. The Greatest Showman is so good, I've seen it twice, and I didn't even know it was a musical until Wolverine started singing. I was like, oh wow, Wolverine's a good fucking singer.
Mate, you're
dude. Have a good day,
mate. Have an awesome day, mate.
Appreciate it, man. Adios.
Take care.
Hasta luego.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that from Paul. I'm just blown away. The guy has no filter. Everything you see is what you get, and that's what I like about Paul's. Why I followed him so long, because there's no pretense, no bollocks. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's more than happy. As you noticed, he was happy to say about how much he sold, what he didn't sell, what didn't work, what does work. Unlike a lot of people out there who say everything, the sun fucking shines and it's constantly awesome. Have an awesome Friday. That's going to put me in a fucking great mood all day. I hope it does for you. Take it easy, and I will see you all very, very soon.